In today's video, I have a mind-blowing story to share with you. One that perfectly illustrates the danger of underestimating the power of intellect, especially when mixed with a touch of arrogance. Trust me, by the time you reach the end of this tale, you'll be left utterly speechless. This is the story of how a smug, overly confident journalist set out to humiliate Melania Trump at a high-profile charity event in New York, only to see everything unravel spectacularly when her son, Barron Trump, stepped in to deliver an unexpected lesson in accountability. Imagine this: a charity gala packed with New York's wealthiest socialites, journalists hungry for their next scoop, and a sea of cameras. Among them is Michael Reynolds, a reporter for the Daily Progressive, known for his unapologetic attacks on conservative figures. Reynolds had carefully orchestrated this moment, planning to ambush Melania Trump and tarnish her public image in front of New York's elite. With weeks of preparation, hidden cameras, and a team primed for viral content, he was certain this would be his moment of victory. But what he didn't account for was Barron Trump's razor-sharp wit, Harvard education, and, perhaps most importantly, his meticulous understanding of how to turn the tables. As the Trumps arrived at the gala, Reynolds couldn't suppress his smug smile. He had all but written the viral headline in his mind: #, Melania takedown. With his cameras rolling and a baited question on his lips, he approached them, ready to strike. He started live streaming to his 500,000 followers, ready for the viral moment that would take down the Trump family. Reynolds began, "As someone who's benefited from America's opportunities, how do you respond to accusations that you've pulled up the ladder behind you?" The crowd held its breath. This was supposed to be the moment where Melania's image crumbled. But little did Reynolds know, he was about to be blindsided. Barron Trump, towering at an impressive 6 feet 7 inches, stepped forward, his shadow falling over Reynolds. The journalist froze, trying to maintain his composure. "I'm conducting an interview with your mother," he stammered, his voice just a little higher than usual, betraying his nerves. Barron, with a knowing smile, seized the opportunity to turn the tables. "Interesting approach to journalism," Barron said loudly enough for the entire room to hear. He pulled out his own phone, scrolling through Reynolds' Twitter history. "Let me pull something up from your Twitter last week." The crowd's attention shifted to Barron, intrigued by what was happening. Barron displayed a tweet from Reynolds mocking conservative women as traitors to their gender. He looked Reynolds in the eye and asked, "Tell me, do you always disguise your misogyny as progressive values, or is that just for special occasions?" A ripple of laughter spread through the crowd, and Reynolds' face turned red. His carefully crafted ambush was falling apart. But Barron wasn't done. Like a skilled strategist, Barron continued to dismantle Reynolds' credibility with surgical precision. "How about your privilege of selectively editing interviews to destroy careers?" Barron said, holding up another tweet. "Or mocking immigrant accents while pretending to champion diversity?" The room was electric now, the audience watching as Reynolds shrank under the weight of his own hypocrisy. Barron's voice was calm, controlled, but every word hit its mark. "Let's talk about your recent article on toxic masculinity in politics," Barron continued. "Written the same week you were caught bullying female interns at your network." Barron showed the crowd internal complaints about Reynolds' behavior. Reynolds tried to regain control, but Barron wasn't letting him off the hook. "We could talk about your network's fundraising gala, where you auctioned off private jet trips while lecturing everyone about climate change," Barron said, displaying more evidence of Reynolds' blatant hypocrisy. Reynolds, visibly sweating, tried to deflect by bringing the conversation back to Melania. "This is about your mother's role," he said, hoping to regain the upper hand. But Barron cut him off again, his voice now dripping with disdain. "My mother's role? You mean the multilingual immigrant entrepreneur who's raised millions for children's charities?" Barron said, taking a step closer to Reynolds, his towering presence impossible to ignore. "Did your research team miss those facts while they were crafting hit pieces?" The audience was captivated, the journalist's discomfort palpable. Barron wasn't just standing up for his mother. He was dismantling an entire narrative, one fact at a time. "You're trying to distract from the real issues," Reynolds stammered, his earlier confidence evaporating. But Barron was already one step ahead. "Real issues? Like your network's offshore accounts or your editor's texts about manufacturing outrage for clicks? The live stream continued to capture every moment, and Reynolds, visibly shaken, tried to escape. But Barron wouldn't let him. "You know what the real story is?" Barron said, pausing for dramatic effect. "It's not about my mother or my family. It's about an industry so desperate for clicks that it has abandoned every principle of real journalism." Reynolds, now completely out of his depth, muttered something about accountability, but Barron wasn't done. "Accountability. Let's talk about your accountability," he said, pulling up more tweets, including deleted posts where Reynolds mocked immigrant women and used burner accounts to disparage people behind closed doors. At this point, Reynolds' entire facade had crumbled. The crowd, phones in hand, captured every word of his humiliation. Barron's final blow came when he showed an email from Reynolds' editor instructing him to target Trump family for maximum engagement. "Is this what journalism school taught you?" Barron asked. "Or did you learn this from your viral marketing class for failed writers?" The crowd erupted in applause, and Reynolds, his career in shambles, fled the scene, humiliated beyond repair. Barron's takedown of him was all over the internet, trending with hashtags like Barron destroys media and journalism fail. The Daily Progressive's website crashed under the overwhelming traffic, and even rival networks couldn't resist covering what had become the most talked-about media moment in years. Behind the scenes, the fallout was swift. Reynolds was placed on indefinite leave, and the network's advertisers began pulling out as their credibility collapsed. The internal investigation revealed that many of the stories he had written were based on fabricated sources, and soon after, Reynolds issued a public apology before stepping away from journalism entirely. That evening, as Melania and Barron shared a quiet moment together, she asked, "You knew he was coming for us, didn't you?" Barron, ever the strategist, smiled. "2 weeks ago, when he started following our social media team, I followed him back. I had everything I needed." Donald, watching the video for the third time, called Barron. "That's my boy," he said proudly. "You didn't just beat them at their own game. You rewrote the rules." And with that, the story of how Barron Trump destroyed a journalist's career became a lesson in media accountability. Reynolds' fall from grace became a cautionary tale for reporters everywhere. Newsrooms started double-checking their social media history before publishing, and young journalists began to learn the importance of rigorous fact-checking. The term, "Did you Barron Trump?" quickly became slang for ensuring that every piece of information was fully vetted, making sure no one could use shortcuts in their reporting. Meanwhile, Barron's methodical dismantling of Reynolds' career became a case study at Harvard Law School, and journalists across the country began to rethink their approach to media coverage. For Melania, the whole incident was a reminder that the truth, when backed by preparation and facts, always prevails. Her charity received unprecedented positive media coverage, and even outlets that had been hostile towards her in the past were cautious in their reporting. Barron returned to his studies at Harvard, where he became a legend among his classmates. His methods were soon studied in law and journalism classes as the perfect example of how to challenge a narrative with intelligence, preparation, and a little bit of humility. And Reynolds? Ironically, he found success in writing a book about media accountability, admitting that his encounter with Barron had been a wake-up call. "I went hunting for a viral moment," he said in interviews. "Instead, I became a cautionary tale." The era of consequence-free hit pieces had officially ended, and with it, a new era of media accountability began. And that, my friends, is how a smug journalist's attempt to take down the Trump family backfired in the most spectacular fashion. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and tell me what you think about Barron Trump's incredible strategy. Until next time, this is Lou.